So I think as all of you guys are aware, very recently, or not very recently, in May, the cooperative was launched, which is a big deal. And at the same time, and cooperative has been around for a very long time. It's not a new structure. And at the same time, I feel like it's getting new life in this new economy, and we're finding new ways to use this as a vehicle for change. And before we get into the specifics of this cooperative, I'd love to start with you, Lisette, because you have been leading cooperatives for more than 20 years. I feel like, maybe I'm exaggerating now, but like a very long time. And you have been leading cooperatives in Scotland. You are now the chair of Pimwimic, which is also a cooperative. And I'd just love for you to actually start out to share a little bit about what does it mean to be a cooperative? What makes it different than other vehicles? Or what does it mean to you?
Yeah, what it means to me, I've never really thought about it like that. So that's really nice to hear. But, the operative and the co. And the operative is one thing, but the co, it's where it's difficult. And I actually want to add something to what these good men are bringing here, because there's a lot of operative in there. There's a lot of let's take action. Don't just sit there, do something. That is very much your call. But I think for the co to work, we also need to turn this around, like Thich Nhat Hanh, the monk Thich Nhat Hanh has done, and said, don't just do something, sit there. Because if this is about interdependence, then I love to work with you, but I also think we ought to cultivate the being together, the interbeing. Can I listen to you so that as you talk about your vision, you actually discover new layers? Can I sit there and not immediately go into action? And I think as a cooperative, as a legal structure, there's also, do we want to be a network? Do we want to be a community of practice or a system of influence? And I think networking is all of us. We know each other. I do business with you. You tell me something, I pass it on, and the whole network benefits, but it is still kind of flatland. And I think we want to be a system of influence. We want every company to be a B Corp, right? We want this to be the new norm. Like with Pimwimic, we want impact investing to be the new norm. We set new standards. But in between is, can we be a community of practice? And can we not only share our successes, but also our living questions? And really go there, because that, I think, the mind shift that was talked about is a heart shift and is a will shift. And we need to engage all these layers.
Wow. Thank you. What a beautiful introduction to now what I want to hand it over to Lane. If you could share a little bit about your vision, like hearing Lisette now speak about sort of the action, but also the being and thinking. And then I would love to hear from you about your vision about what is this actually? What is this cooperative that you're launching together with Marcelo? And what does that look like?
Yeah. It's this is on now. Yeah, so I don't have to do a double. In the world, in the Netherlands, in the countries around the Netherlands, all over the world, there are hundreds of thousands of initiatives for good. Everybody's trying very hard. You have initiatives in the street, you have neighbors who do things together, countries. But all those initiatives, or many of those initiatives, operate alone. So over the past 35 years, I've always wondered why that is. Has to do with ego, has to do with drive to go faster than the other. And so there are many reasons for it, but it is not so good, in my opinion. And because the enemy, I was just talking to a company, a B Corp called Friends and Foes, who create the enemy. And it's a strong way of thinking. And I thought, the enemy, who is the enemy? And for example, there is this company that immediately came to my mind called the Koch brothers in America. They spend 300 million per year, 300 million, one company per year, to block legislation that stops them from harming the planet. It's one company, 300 million. And so the enemy, and I'm sorry for the word, I cannot find a better one quickly, the enemy is very well equipped. The status quo is very strong. They have endless financial resources. And then we are here trying very hard on all those little good-willing things that we're all doing. So we need to do that together. So that is the first, of course, drive to make a cooperative. It is a legal entity. It's not a thing, a cooperative, we cooperate. No, it's a legal entity that has members, and every member has one vote. We're all equal. Because people said, no, Lane, you and Marcello. No, it's not about Lane and Marcello. First of all, we have 100 stewards around us. It's about them, because we cannot do it alone, as you say. We have to think, and that is, we have to sit down and think. You think we're always running. Well, Marcello is always running, but we are. I'm sitting, and that's how we can work together. So, but anyway, we have to bring that. So we have 100. The inner circle, and we need more. So we're now growing. We have 600 people on the platform. We have all of you. We have more and more. So we have to find a place where people feel comfortable to do their business, and to learn, to do better business, maybe to do more business, to make money. That not sustainability is something dirty, that it is ugly, we don't like it. It has to be fun, I said this morning. Because if it's not fun, where do we get our energy? Where do we get our energy? If I had to do this and I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. Well, not long at least. And that is maybe a day or two, but not very long. So that is why we created this legal entity. It took us a lot of time, because you think, well, we go to the notary and we create a cooperative. No, that's not how it is. So it took us a lot of time to make it like that people feel comfortable in it, that it is honest, it's completely transparent. What do you make? What do you make? How do we spend our money? Well, here you have our books. So, and all those things that we think are normal, that are not always normal in business, that is what we did and created the cooperative. And people are very enthusiastic about it. And now we're bringing them in, and we have to explain it to everybody. So I thought everybody would understand immediately. Well, that is never the case, Mm-hmm. So we are now in the explaining phase, and. So is that a little bit an answer to your question?
A little bit. Thank you. And it is perfect, actually, because we have Marcello next. So maybe anything he left out that you feel like he should have touched on, you get to do that now.
Well, don't give him too much time.
No.
No, I think that...
I will come walking to you.
Just add in, because Lane and I are totally complementary. Just add in to say... I know some of you through Social Venture Network, which actually Lisette was one of the first members. 1993, and Annemieke, in Amsterdam at OIBBO, we launched the first network with Ben Cohen, Anita Roddick, Peter Blom, Eckhart Vincent. So this was the kind of old guard of the new capitalists, the new entrepreneurs. And so it goes back a long time, and actually it goes back, for me, when I was a student in economics, it goes back to Aristotle, it goes back to the Greek philosophy, the idea of, on the one hand, oikonomia and eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is about well-being, and economics actually is, in a way, should be the science of well-being. So it's not so new in a sense, but of course we kind of sidetrack capitalism, partly through our American friends and others who kind of made it a bit different than what it could be and should be. So company, the word company, actually in Latin means breaking bread together. It comes from companions. You don't want to be spiritual, you don't have to be spiritual, but working together is the essence of a company. And for Lynn and I, cooperative was actually a way of formalizing how can people work together for a common purpose. And second thing is, this is also the link with Social Venture Network. In Social Venture Network, people have been asking, oh, we should really have like a Facebook for good or a LinkedIn for good. Why don't we have our own kind of platform globally where people who have good intentions and run businesses can actually be together? So the cooperative is meant to be that kind of vehicle. And then later in the afternoon, you will hear, about the exchange and the loyalty program. How do we want to create a really microcosm of the new economy? So at bottom, Alessandra, it is about companionship, working together for a shared purpose. In a global world where, like this, you are in touch with everybody in the world, and we are not doing enough of it. We haven't yet been able to organize ourselves, is what Lane was saying. I always remember, 20 years ago at the Clinton Global Initiative, Bill Clinton said, the progressives are not well organized. We have to be organized. I said it earlier, big business is organized, NGOs are organized, politicians are organized, but in a way, people like us who have, say, maybe a vision for the world, as I think Annemieke was saying, what is our vision for the world? We're not well organized. And this is what we want to do with the cooperative. This is what we're doing with the cooperative. And it is also a very traditional Dutch, instrument that was created in the Netherlands. I mean, some cooperatives like the VOC was not exactly for good, but there is a model of how people can work together to make a difference. So we want to use that model to make a difference.
Wow. Thank you, Marcella. You actually kept very well to time. I mean, I was getting a little bit worried when you went to Greek philosophy and Latin, but you managed to bring it back, so thank you. Applause. Nikki, I'd love to go to you next. You lead a B Corp. You're also part of the Beauty Coalition. And very interested in systems change. That's why you joined. And so I'd love to hear from you, particularly around the potential of this. What would you need from a cooperative, from this community, from the industry to help you to realize your systems change ambitions?
Yeah. Well, I got to system change and the need for and importance for it really through my own experience. And I was very happy when Annemieke this morning confirmed from your experience and all your wisdom and all your, and your being a professor, you confirmed that also from all that experience, that system change is the only way forward, doing things together. So having led product innovation at Rituals for the first 7 years or so at my time there, I realized, we need to reach sustainability goals, but we cannot do it alone. I tried really hard to find the right suppliers and everything, and the right innovations. But then every time it sort of didn't work because, they weren't scalable. They didn't have the money, or the lines weren't big enough and stuff. And I realized if we were to do this together as competitors, we could actually make it happen. So then B Corp Beauty Coalition was the first step into experiencing something doing together, where for the first time I realized, wow, in sustainability, competitors can actually work together. And Sean here was the chairman of the coalition for a long time. And it was really amazing because, we sat there with really direct competitors, but just because we were all B Corp, we were all in the same boat. And there was not one moment in 2 years where I felt like, ooh, okay, but you're competitors, maybe not. I won't share this information. But even, learning, I think what I need is sort of like, is help on how to make this work. Because a coalition like B Corp with the best intentions is tough, because you need someone who organizes it, you need someone who's really clear about the goals, you need someone who's really, who gives it structure, because we all say, yes, we want to be part of it, but then we never have time for it. Let's be honest. We need, what's the change we really want to create as a B Corp Beauty Coalition? What's the impact we can have? So I think this is something where if someone here has help on structure, on to really make this a success. I mean, obviously, we're also part of the Eco Beauty Consortium, for example, where we pay a lot of fee every year to get it done by a big consultant. You can do it that way, that works. But maybe there's other ways, more the cooperative way, where we can do it. And at the same time, trying also to start an impact fund with competitors now to really create industry change. So I'm trying on many, many levels. So on any of those, if you have, oh, I see the microphone coming. Very good, I thought so. Then that's, I think, on how to make it happen, really, these great ideas that, as Lane said, the devil's all in the detail. That would be a big ask today.
Yeah, thank you. And I love that you're really doing it. Like you're working. Yeah, thank you. Lisette, I know you wanted to comment.
I think we need to redefine competition. We're competing against time and ignorance. So then you start to work together, right? And I think one of the answers to how can we organize ourselves is circles, like the week that Frédéric Laloux is doing. Just commit to a practice for a few weeks with each other. I think it can be random, doesn't even need to be in your industry, because we all have experience and many of those are general and not specific. So that's what I would like to bring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne, you've been patiently waiting on the other side. And you have been, well, first of all, you lead a big fintech company focused on Africa and helping financial inclusion. You've also been a really big advocate in making sure that this is really a global initiative. And so I would love for you to speak a little bit about what does it mean to you when you say, I want this to be a global initiative. Can you speak, what does that mean?
Well, absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Really, it's very hard to gainsay what's been said here already, the power of many, the power of connection. But I run a fintech. We sound like a fund. We're not a fund. We're a fintech lender that grows small businesses with microfinance loans and enterprise training. So we give them the knowledge as well as the working capital to grow. We've been a B Corp for a number of years now, and it's great to be part of this community. The point is that we think that we have found an African solution to a global problem. We democratize wealth creation through small business growth, grassroots upward. But the global opportunity is $5 trillion. That's the finance gap estimated by the World Bank, by the IFC. $5 trillion is needed to allow small and micro businesses around the world to realize their potential, not even to max out, not even to optimize, just to be able to be an okay version of themselves. So our thesis is that you're a better business and you will make more money by being a B Corp, by looking after your customers, by looking after your staff, by caring about the planet. It's the best way to manage your risk. It's the best way to achieve an impact, because that is what business is there for, to solve that problem. So the size of the opportunity is off the scale. But what I want to do is to connect the African opportunity, where there's a $500 billion market gap in Kenya and Uganda alone, where I work, with global pools of capital, with intent, and to help thread the needle, to connect the dots, so that people who do care don't feel alone anymore, so that my customers, who are the most amazing human beings on the planet, can actually bring what they can contribute to this conversation about resilience, about community, about family, about faith, about belief, and so that we can learn from one another. Because this is not a dependency conversation, this is a codependency conversation. We need one another.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that voice. And I'm going to run a little risk here and hand the microphone back to Marcelo to close us off. So we'll see how that goes. I'd love for you, actually, before we close, just to speak a little bit, because we have lots of B Corps here in the room. And at the same time, there's a difference between the B Corp, being a B Corp, and being part of the cooperative. And if you could just briefly speak, I mean, maybe it's obvious to everybody, but maybe it's not. And I just wanted to quickly end on that, if you could explain that.
Two things. One is Be for Good Leaders is actually about leaders. It's about the people, and Lane said it this morning, you can be 18 years old, 16 years old, and still be a leader, or you can be 75, 80, and still be a leader, So it's people who have a passion for obviously changing the economy, creating a new economy, and people who have all the other ingredients, They are honest, they work with integrity, they are people who respect others. This is what we say, be the best for the world, which is something we use in the B Corp. So it is leaders. Secondly, it is not only B Corp. I mean, we love B Corps. I mean, of course, but there are the reality is, and Elaine says it, there are 300 million companies in the world, and there are 8,000 B Corps and 25,000 benefit corporations. So we want to use the example of B Corps and inspire many other leaders to see what they can do. As we said this morning, some of you came late, but hello, hi. It's very nice to have you here. But the thing is, we said this morning, the John Kennedy statement, do not ask what the world can do for your company, ask what your company can do for the world. So the B Corps are supposed to inspire many other companies, many other leaders to follow the example, to learn from B Corps. And if you become a B Corp, it's great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. But you're on this journey together. So it's actually B Corps and beyond, and it's for the leaders, for the individuals. And the final thing to say is, Lynn and I realized that companies are made of people. People decide, not companies. So that is where the raw material for change is, the individuals. And this is what we started a bit like an experiment meeting in Rome, and it's growing, it's working, people resonate with it, and we see that. I'll say that later in the afternoon, the combination of all of us here, the Netherlands, this part of Europe, the EU, is moving in the right direction in this sense. This is really going to be a hub of a new economy for the whole world. This is why we kind of really push, because this is the moment for us to actually be the best we can be for the world. So really, seriously, if we people like us are not going to take the step forward, nobody else is going to take the step forward. So it's just here for us to do. And Lane and I, basically, this is the call we make. The call is we've been trying to do this for 30 years, mostly successfully. Sometimes it's up to all of us together to step it up.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I think it's very much an invitation. I mean, if I hear you all correctly, it's an invitation for all of you to create this together. So it's not about, I think I hear very clearly from both of you, you don't want to create this whole thing. You want everybody here to co-create this together. And so with that, an invitation for the rest of the day, as we go into the afternoon later as well, in all these workshops, to really think about what do we want to co-create here to make this work for all of us. And so thank you for launching this. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.